This is insane as the Texans seem to have found their next defensive star. And we're going to give you the details as to what Texans player has been showing up and showing out for training camp this year, right here in this episode of Texans Digest. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Donovan Ricondo, and we're trying to get to 1,900 subscribers by the end of the day. We are 2 subscribers away, trying to hit that goal of 1,900. So if you want to stay up to date on all of your Texans content throughout the entire training camp, throughout our preseason game tomorrow, which is very, very important, very excited about that, and all the updates after that, this is the channel for you. We're going to give you live updates on everything right here on Texans Digest. Stay tuned for everything, including updates like this as we're talking about Calen Bullock, who is having a phenomenal training camp with the Texans so far. If you thought that the Houston Texans defense could not get any better, it just did, as this second-year star has proved himself so far in training camp. He has already intercepted multiple passes from CJ Stroud in training camp. And yes, that's bound to happen as the Texans, as of yesterday, had 7 practices since training camp started. And in 6 of them, Bullock has picked off at least 1 pen. So he's already making his presence known on the defense, which is something that's going to have to be a must for this team. As many of you know, the injury to CJ Gardner-Johnson just the other day is a terrible thing for this defense. That's a guy you go out and trade for, thinking that's going to be your interception leader for the season, and he suffers this injury. Hopefully, it's not anything too bad. We're still waiting for some official updates about his injury. We wish him all the best, but in football, it's always next man up. Who is going to be able to put themselves in that position and kind of overtake the responsibilities that Gardner-Johnson was supposed to take. Again, no official word yet on how long he is out, but next man up. And so there's a guy like Calen Bullock who has so far done a lot of great things in terms of being a defensive presence and going out there and showing why he is one of the most improved players on this Texans roster. That is not my words. That is a lot of other people's words with what they are saying. And it's got a lot of Texans fans, a lot of diehards really, really excited. Last year, the Texans had 19 interceptions. That was second in the league last year. And Calen Bullock did his part. He had 5 interceptions last year as a rookie, which is very good numbers, right, for a rookie. And so to start off with that and know that he's only getting better in training camp, I expect that 5 to go somewhere from being to 8, 9 interceptions next year, hopefully. That was one of the specialties for his gameplay, as well as the Texans' defense, of getting the ball back into C.J. Stroud's hands. And so I want to take you to this quote right here from NFL writer Cole Thompson, as he said this about Calen Bullock. He said, quote, "Pick a practice, literally, any day since camp broke last week. You got it? Bullock has been the most impressive player that morning. Yes, every morning, Bullock is the one standing out the most. He's already recorded 4 interceptions against Stroud in drills and has been more physical when asked to play against tight ends in man coverage. On Wednesday, the second-year defensive back went stride for stride with Pro Bowl wide receiver Nico Collins to break up a deep post pattern. Last season, Bullock totaled 5 interceptions and helped Houston stabilize the back end of its secondary after Jalen Pitre moved into the nickel role. He's a true ball hawk that's only getting back as a tackler and run stopper," end quote. And this just has me fired up about Bullock. He's a natural ball hawk, which is what we need right now the most. With the injury to C.J. Gardner-Johnson, to have someone who is that much of a threat on the defensive side is a huge plus. It's what made this Texans defense one of the best defenses in the league next year. And to have a rookie make these strides in training camp right now is a very good thing. Now, of course, there's always concerns about peaking too early, and is this just training camp? It doesn't necessarily mean anything quite yet, but I am a firm believer of things translating over And so the way that he's been working and putting in the work and making sure that he is getting better every single day is a huge win, not only for him, not only for the Texans fans, but for the Texas team, the coaches, everyone there is always a good thing for rookies to make strides like this. And he talked about what he wanted to get better at the mandatory minicamp just a few weeks ago. And he had talked about that. I want to bring you to what he said in that press conference meeting, saying, quote, play recognition, knowing what to expect on down and distance, going out there so I could play faster instead of just going out there and playing on my athleticism, being a student of the game and really taking advantage of all of my opportunities. It's a lot of plays out there I left on the field. I felt that if I would have I would have been in the conversations with the top safeties that everyone talks about. And so I honestly just love the way that he talks about himself. So he has a high bar for himself. He has high expectations, and it's up to him to reach those expectations. And some of them, again, he's just a rookie, right? And he's already talking about being one of the best safeties in the NFL. Honestly, do you, man? Like you are him. Be what you feel like you are, because right now in training camp, you are showing out. You are impressing everybody on that coaching staff, everybody there in attendance, looking at you. You've made a big strides in your development, and so that is a good thing. And I'm very excited to see how this all pans out tomorrow against the Vikings. It's the first preseason game. Who knows exactly how much everyone is going to play, who is going to play, who's not going to play. But it's all very exciting to see if Calen Bullock gets some of those reps and kind of showcases a little bit of what he's been working on all training camp long and all offseason long. And this is a very huge deal for the Houston Texans. This is a franchise that has prided itself on defense, right? As long as, remember, Texans have, for the most part, have had a good defense in the past 10, 15 years. They've done a good job in maintaining that, besides that one year where we went like 3-13, which was awful. But anyways, at the same time, to have these defensive guys constantly come in, I mean, that is why we won a lot of games last year, was our defense kept us intact. The offense was very slow. It was now working with the defense, was able to keep us in games and make sure that we were the division champions, so that we did go to the playoffs and we did win the wild card round. And so to maintain and to build off that from what we had last year, second in interceptions, let's try to go and try to get first ranked in that this season. Of course, it's going to be a little bit difficult without the guy you traded for, who's now apparently injured, but at the same time, there's these goals and there's these expectations that we should strive for as a team. And it starts with players on an individual level. And when you see players who were rookies last year and a second-year player now making these kinds of strides, making this kind of noise, if you don't think the other veterans on the defense are looking at this and say, okay, I have to step up my game too, because that guy is doing extraordinary things on the field, that is a thought that they are having. And so everyone is picking up their games. And so that is something that is very much something to look forward to about this Texans defense. And so it's all going to be very, very cool. And I cannot wait to see these guys in action tomorrow afternoon, rather. And so we're going to have all those updates on how that game went on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We're going to give you all of that right here on Texans Digest. So, of course, if you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and do so right now. We would really, really appreciate it from the bottom of our beings. All right, we'll see you on the next episode of Texans Digest. Take care. Adios.